This is my second time being worship associate, and I've learned something already, and that's write a better story, Gregory. When I wrote what I'm going to reflect on today, I got my subject, I had 4 bullet points, I filled out the bullet points, and I thought the words were great, but then I woke up the next day and went, man, that's a little dry. So I only had a Saturday to fix it, and I was busy Saturday, so go with me, okay? Spirituality is often thought of as an individual journey, an inner quest for greater meaning, connection, and transcendence. Yet what I keep discovering is the way spirituality is also a deeply communal practice. To show up for others, to engage in shared rituals, to participate in the collective work of justice and care. These are all acts of spiritual significance. This faith community, then, is not just a container for spiritual practices, it in of itself is a spiritual practice. Being a part of this faith community calls us into relationships. It reminds us that we are not isolated beings, but deeply interconnected parts of a greater whole. When we show up in community, we step up into a space where our individual experiences are woven together into a larger fabric. We listen, we witness, we celebrate, we grieve, but we do it together. This interdependence fosters a sense of belonging, which is essential for both personal and collective flourishing. One of the most powerful spiritual aspects of our faith community is presence. Your presence is a present. To be present with others, to listen deeply, and to engage authentically is an act of reverence. It requires us to set aside distractions, to put aside self-interest, and to truly see and hear from those around us. In this capitalist system that prioritizes productivity over deep connection, presence becomes a sacred, counter-revolutionary practice, a reminder that our worth is not measured by what we produce, but how we show up for one another. Here at UUSF, our community also offers accountability. We call each other to be our best selves, not in a way that demands perfection, but in a way that invites growth. When we engage in community, we are held in love and challenged in truth. We learn from diverse perspectives, we confront our biases, we expand our understanding. This process, though, it can be uncomfortable, but it's also deeply transformative. It's through community that we are shaped into more compassionate, wise, and just individuals. A really good example of this is the long and uncomfortable conversations had in the process of becoming an apartheid-free congregation, to which I salute the Human Rights Working Group for showing us how this is done with grace, but also with a little grit. Ritual and tradition, too, make our faith community a spiritual practice. Whether through shared meals, which I wrote here, woohoo, to the community shared meals we just had in the winter shelter. Seasonal observances or acts of service, we create meaning through collective practice. These rituals ground us, connect us to something larger than ourselves, and provide continuity in the face of change. Marking life's transitions, births, deaths, celebrations, and struggles, within community affirms our shared humanity and reminds us that no one carries the joys or burdens alone. Service within a community is another way this practice manifests. To care for others, to work for justice, to engage in mutual aid. These acts transcend individual benefit and become expressions of a deeper spiritual calling. When we serve, we embody love in action. We recognize that our liberation is bound together, that the well-being of one is tied to the well-being of all. Now, I say all of this not to preach at you, but to admit that recently I've been slacking on my spiritual practice, on my commitment to being in community. I can post up flyers in the hall, I can send a couple emails, I can give the hugs to the right people, but ultimately being in community is so much more. It calls us to be more relational and engage each other in deeper and more meaningful ways than a flyer. That's another beautiful thing, though, about spiritual practices, but really about this community, is that you can wander, but know that you are always welcome back into the loving embrace that UUSF offers. Community requires intention, patience, and a willingness to show up. not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. And we all know right now, times are tough, to say the least. So let's keep showing up for each other, because it's in showing up we find something sacred, a reflection of the divine in our interconnected lives. Amen, ashe, and blessed be.